Finding a place to call home is everyone's goal in life. However, if you've ever had the chance to find your ideal city home, there's a good chance the only wild animals you've ever seen was on a nature documentary. Certainly, you might see the occasional squirrel running about, and you probably see a dozen dogs on the street every day. But these creatures are nothing like those who live in the rainforests and savannas all around the entire world. We're terribly disconnected from the animal kingdom and the natural world, since some of us will never get the opportunity to hike through the Amazon jungle or walk with elephants on safari. While we're aware that climate change and global warming can be a big threat to our livelihoods, we rarely discuss it due to the fact that they don't affect us, right? The unfortunate reality is that all of our 21st century practices are significantly bad for the not only health but our entire future. According to NASA, 97% of experts working on climate issues had come to the conclusion that human actions are to blame for global warming. This is due to our constant burning of fossil fuels, increasing the amount of farmland we need to support an ever-rising population, and cutting down more and more trees every day to source our everyday items. Deforestation is, as a matter of fact, one of the causes of climate change that we can see clearly before our eyes. We may witness forests that have changed into barren lands and see clearings that used to be lush woodlands and animals that have been displaced from their natural habitat and lost their homes. While this is an unpleasant truth, there are several charities and organizations working to prevent this from occurring. One group of workers understood exactly what to do because of this education and knew what they had to do when they realized there was a bear desperately trying to force and signal for help out in the forest. Due to the fact that when we think that our position on the top of the food chain, our activities not only damage and destroy pretty much anything beneath it, but also help to repair the environment around us and rebuild it. Humans have interacted with animals throughout history and radically changed their lives. We as humans have demolished their houses, gotten in the way of their families, and contributed to their extinction. We are, nevertheless, doing everything we have in our sleeves and anything we can to correct our errors. We're learning all we can about these animals and doing everything we can to save them from going extinct. As a result, these rescuers were unable to leave this bear alone behind them and had to do something about it. Although we're frequently reminded of the impact of human activity on the nature world, and we're all aware of the impact it had, many of us are unaware of the real depth of this harm and devastation. We're encouraged to use more environmentally friendly energy sources, also to limit our waste and garbage, and even fight for animal rights and stand for them. Yet ultimately, what is the purpose of all this? Well, deforestation, for example, is one of the most important contributors to climate change, and every year more trees are sacrificed for human use. Deforestation is extremely brutal in Borneo, where once beautiful rainforests are now clinging to what little land and space they have left there. It's safe to point out that one of the major reasons Borneo is being struck so hard is that it possesses vast areas of land that appear to be perfectly suitable for development, but are also heavily forested and covered in trees. Large corporations are interested in developing and investing in this region, either by turning it into buildings or by planting profitable rubber plants and palm oil trees. Once these elements get entirely extracted, they're transported throughout the world to be used in products that we use on a daily basis. Unfortunately, this procedure causes more harm than benefit to the environment. And because companies are doing everything they can to boost the ante and give us more oils, we've gotten comfortable with having them in our life and pretty used to it. After all, this will bring them more business and money, so it's a win situation that works in their favor. However, as a result of this, deforestation has gotten out of control. These businesses and companies are no longer growing these resources in a sustainable manner, and fewer trees are being planted, while others are getting cut down. The animals who live there have suffered largely as a result of this. Everything had an enormous impact on them. When we see how much impact it had on the environment, such as deforestation, and when we learn the news about homeless animals, it really makes us feel bad and fills us with sadness and sorrow. We should be relieved to know that there are individuals working to prevent this from occurring ever again and trying to stop it. The Jajak Puleng Foundation, JPF, and Four Paws International (FPI) in particular are doing everything they can to protect these creatures and their environments to keep their homes in one piece. They're mostly working in Borneo, where the challenges are far severe than in other regions of the world. They understand the importance of making a difference, and they aim to accomplish it. Borneo is a huge Asian island famous for its rich biodiversity and diverse ecosystem. It's known for having some of the world's greatest beaches, and it also contains rough rainforests and mountainous areas. Large enterprises, on the other hand, find it extremely appealing and are attracted to it. Over half of its forests have been destroyed in the recent years. This has had a major impact on the life of Borneo's amazing animals, such as the sun bear. Although you may be familiar with the grizzly bear or the black bear, the sun bear is actually much different. For starters, they're incredibly fragile and vulnerable in the wild and have been categorized as a critically endangered species by the International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN). While the sun bear is their official name, these amazing creatures are sometimes known as honey bears because they like honey and honeycomb so much. Unfortunately, the number of sun bears in the wild has decreased over the past few decades. Due to the fact that there are so few sun bears in the wild, seeing one in its natural environment is nearly impossible. However, a group of volunteers and researchers from the Jajak Pulang Foundation (JPF) discovered one in the jungle in early 2018. The group was thrilled to witness one of these magnificent creatures in person, but they sensed something wasn't quite right. After the event, their Four Paws Institute colleagues blogged about their experience on social media to share their story and what they witnessed. The moment the group saw the bear, they realized something wasn't right. They had a feeling, and they could sense that the situation in front of them was out of the ordinary. The team members were strolling through the forest on a normal day when they came across the sun bear in front of them. However, instead of running or attempting to frighten them, the sun bear did quite the opposite, something really unexpected and unusual. It seemed like she was waving at them. Most people in their shoes would have been terrified of running across a bear in the forest, and they would do so for a good reason. Bears have the potential to be extremely dangerous to humans. It's in them, and it's simply their nature. They're considerably stronger and can easily defeat even the most powerful man. So it's reasonable and honestly understandable if you desire to run away from a bear when you see one. The team of volunteers, on the other hand, didn't run away. Instead, they focused their attention on the bear and got close to him. The team was in a rough position and had to make a choice quickly after taking in the scene in front of them. Did they get close to the bear? Should they just walk away and let everything happen on its own? They took another look at the bear while they discussed their choices and saw that she was in discomfort and distress. It didn't take long until they realized why this was the case. The group had found an illegal rubber plantation in the middle of the rainforest and had done everything possible to protect their plants from pesky animals. When the JPF crew investigated around the surrounding region, they noticed that the illegal plantation workers had set traps and snares on the ground to catch any animals that managed to walk into their territory. The bear happened to be wandering through this region when she was caught in a trap, and she wasn't able to move. Her paw was caught in the snare mechanism, and she certainly had no way out of it. The team didn't know how long she'd been there, but knew they had to help her escape. It wasn't long until the group understood why she'd been waving in the first place as they looked at the poor bear. She was attempting to obtain their attention in order for them to help her get released and be free again. The crew jumped into action right away without any hesitation and were doing everything they could to rescue the sun bear, who they later named Belia. They untangled her from the snare, helped her in safely passing through all the other traps, and then carried her to their animal medical center, where they examined her for any further injuries that were not immediately visible on her body. It's important to point out that although seeing a bear in some places might be rather terrifying than anything else actually, they should be allowed to be and run free in rainforests. It's their natural environment after all, and they're not a threat to anyone. The entire objective of these traps was to keep them away from illegal plants. What's been done here is similar to breaking into someone's house and taking control of it. Belia's progress was kept up to date on the Four Paws International Facebook page, but the first medical report was not encouraging. It was impossible to save her paw since the net had trapped it so tightly. Despite doing everything possible to maintain everything intact, The medical team was forced to make a difficult choice to amputate a portion of her paw. However, the good news is the operation went well, and Belia was later bandaged up in the hope that she'd make a full recovery, although there were no guarantees that this would happen for sure. All around the globe, people's hearts were broken as soon as they read Belia's story on the FBI Facebook page. They were brought to tears as they heard of her struggle and began to think about the world around them. People couldn't believe such places existed, and they couldn't comprehend why traps were put in the rainforest in the first place. Nonetheless, there was one question turning in their heads and that everyone had on their minds. Would she make it through the ordeal? The FBI responded to her growing number of people who were concerned about her health, her chances, and her future. Her age, in their opinion, would influence a lot and even determine her chances of surviving. Four Paws International's communications director, Claire LaFrance, decided to respond to a question that had been asked several times on the animal website, The Dodo. What were Belia's odds of surviving her terrifying ordeal? Claire put all the people who were curious out of their misery. Belia, in her opinion, had a decent chance of surviving. This is due to the fact that Belia is believed to be around 2 years old, which means she's still quite young and has a good chance of thriving. According to what experts were saying, that animals who are younger have a higher chance of adjusting to changes in their physical makeup. Therefore, they believed Belia would be able to survive without a part of her paw. Her rescuers chose to put her in an outdoor cage so she could get used to her new form and try to adapt a new way of walking and eating into her daily existence, giving her the best chance of survival. Before releasing her back into the wild, they wanted to offer her a secure and safe place to do so and to regain her health back. Shortly after, Belia began to adjust to her new paw and cope with her injuries almost instantly, proving that the researchers were quite accurate in their prediction. As a matter of fact, she didn't waste any time at all. Belia was able to move about and do all the tasks and activities much required for survival just 8 days after being brought into the center. The researchers could tell she was ready to leave the outside enclosure, so the doctors gave her one more and last checkup before heading back into the rainforest with Belia in tow. Even though survival out in nature can be challenging enough, Belia is now trapped, forced to live and survive in the rainforest, unable to use one of her claws. Even without traps to endanger the rainforest residents, sun bears, meanwhile, are known for relying on their claws to climb trees and to open hollow logs in pursuit of termites. Belia would now have to adjust to her new situation and do all of these things while avoiding the trap's harm and danger. Only a few weeks after sharing Belia's journey, the Four Paws International published another update. She was ready to be released into the wild. They confirmed that Belia had easily adjusted to her new paw and was ready to face the world on her own. She was ready to break free from her captivity and roam the rainforest like any other wild animal. They also insisted on the fact that they released Bella in the same place they found her. However, some people were still not convinced yet and got concerned. In the meantime, a significant number of individuals who read Belia's story were extremely moved and glad to hear that she'd gotten back to her home where she belongs in the first place. Yet they really couldn't help themselves but to wonder over whether the area was protected enough for her and for other species. Imagine a scenario where she ends up trapped in another snare. How would that be for her again? Indeed, the Four Paws Initiative noticed that they had set up an actions to guarantee they didn't repeat. They put their own camera traps in the forest, which implies they could watch out for Belia and other sun bears without harming them or endangering them in the climate around them. Although the association might have helped Bella a lot and conceivably saved her life, their work didn't end there. In addition to the fact that they set up a gift page for the bear so they could shower her with additional consideration and care, however, they likewise pursued individuals who put out those snares. Alongside the police, the staff of Jajak Palang have been searching for additional snares and attempting to find the catchers while expanding security all around the place. It's worth it to mention that the Four Paws organization has done a lot of wonderful work all around the world to help bears. The Republic of Kosovo, for example, has been granted exclusive rights to preserve and to protect brown bears and has constructed a dedicated bear sanctuary. These bears are allowed to wander around and enjoy the environment without fear of traps or hunting. They'll be able to do it all in a comfortable, safe, and secure place with ponds, hibernating caves, and lots of space to walk. run around and be themselves. Because, after all, bears would always be bears. Mankind is the dominant species on the planet. However, this implies a duty and much responsibility on our part to look after nature and its people. It's not only our obligation to save the rainforests, but also to care for the creatures that live in the wild. We must ensure that they are and always will be kept away from danger, particularly that which may be caused by them. This is why the existence of this kind of group of volunteers is so crucial to the world. Because of the constant danger in the Bornean rainforests, sun bears have become a critically endangered species. And in order to get our hands on resources like rubber and palm oil, large areas of these rainforests are being transformed into farm fields. Unfortunately, the population of sun bears has been decreasing in recent years, and this type of conduct and behavior on our part, especially when traps are set up, and might lead to the extinction of sun bears and other species in the future. Valia's story is a joyful one, thankfully, especially because she's now recovered completely and is living life to the fullest in the Bornean rainforest. However, this is a one-in-a-million story, and many more creatures continue to suffer at the hands of people. It's owing to organizations like the JPF and the FPI that these initiatives are possible. In addition, we also need to make a conscious effort as humans to stop deforestation and to save the animals that live in these areas and preserve their kind. While this story finished in a generally decent and good way, things might have been totally different for this sun bear if the group of volunteers hadn't run into the bear, or then again didn't comprehend the fact that she was calling for help. It likely wouldn't have endured being caught in that snare. So it's fortunate that these individuals had the chance to acknowledge something was off base before they continued on their road. Otherwise, this story wouldn't have had the cheerful and happy ending that it did, and things could have gone very poorly for the sun bear.